And all the things that suck ass. Suck ass even more. Because now you got a frame of comparison. I'm not the only one. Of course, I'm not the only one. I saw so many people affected. At least 20 people affected. Because this architecture goes up and comes down. It's like that great arch in St. Louis, but there's like, 26 of them, and they're all going up and coming down at different places, and they're all intertwined, and they're not literal arches, but they're just like spaghettis all through the sky. And then they start to move, and then when they touch each other, some kind of realignment happens. And that becomes the epicenter of power for the arrangement, which then moves the base. So two spaghettis come together, red spaghettis hit, and the force, or the concussion of their nexus reverberates throughout the spaghetti and changes the actual anchorage. And so it's like this. And it's like at those museums when you were a kid and there was the sphere and the electricity comes out. It's like that Tesla thing. That's what the architecture was. But it wasn't electricity. There was none of that electromagnetic stuff happening. It was the virtue of the people. Virtue of the people who walked into the installation. Can you imagine that? Now, it's probably best to imagine it as an efflux of electromagnetic energy, a geyser. Probably best to see it that way. A geyser coming out of the chest. So, if you had one person who was full of virtue, a real virtuous person, like the architect himself, but another person, because only the architect who was that virtuous could create architecture that relied upon virtue for its existence, because the spaghetti was made of virtue. The spaghetti, virtue. That's why I'm so intrigued by this modern art installation, because it didn't exist until you walked into the precincts of the spaghetti. And Michelangelo being Italian. So you walk there, and you're just ho-humming about like this. Ho-hum, 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 tweedly-dum. And the spaghetti comes, but you're like, where did it come from? That's what I didn't understand at first, and it was so exciting. I was like, I'm being surrounded by electromagnetic spaghetti, but it's not really that. It's just, those are the best words. And what I came to understand is that I could never see the provenance of the spaghetti virtue. I couldn't see the origin point. Wherever I looked, it eluded me until someone else walked into it. Walked into the space that I occupied. And I saw what happened. The virtue shot out the back and spaghettied upward into these tentacles and these strings that interacted. The people composed the artwork in real time, using their virtue. And And we're going to be really clear here, because I'm somewhat virtuous. I'm going to try to be clear here. There were some people, curmudgeons, let's call them, who would walk near me, and just little spaghetti comes out of their back, just like little spaghetti bowls, like you'd get at a fast food spaghetti shop. Not something that you would get at a premier Italian joint in the city, but like Olive Garden, just coming out of the back. And I'm like, you try not to judge, because right when you judge someone for something like that, your own spaghetti starts to diminish. And the art that you're creating in that part of town ain't so great. And then someone else comes up to you and is like, your art sucks. Just like that.